Have you ever believed in miracles? Around the globe, there are bodies that should have decayed over time, but after hundreds and even thousands of years, they remain nearly untouched. This isn't a made-up story, but the 12 incorruptible saints of the Catholic Church, individuals who have passed but whose bodies did not decompose. Although modern science has investigated, it has failed to explain this phenomenon. What is actually happening here? Is it a miracle, a supernatural event, or an unsolved mystery? Let's explore these unsettling relics, extraordinary evidence that has left the world in awe. Be sure to click subscribe and activate the notification bell so you never miss any videos from our channel, where we explore deep and inspiring insights about the Bible and faith. Among the most strange phenomena in the Catholic Church, there is one story that has stunned the world. The body of Saint Pio remains unscathed, as if he just fell asleep. Despite having passed away over 50 years ago, imagine a person who has died, yet their skin is still soft, their hair is still glossy, and their nails are intact. This phenomenon has shaken the scientific community and even the most skeptical about miracles. Who is Saint Pio, and why is he one of the most mysterious cases of incorruption in history? Saint Pio, born Francesco on May 25, 1887, in Italy, had a profound devotion to God from an early age, forsaking worldly life to dedicate himself to religious life. At just 15 years old, he joined the Kuchin order and took the name Brother Pio. But his devotion wasn't the only remarkable thing. In 1918, a shocking event occurred. Pio received the 5 sacred wounds, the same wounds of Christ on his hands, feet, and side. These wounds caused immense pain, but also signified his deep connection with the Savior. However, that wasn't the end of the story. Pio was also known for his ability to appear in 2 different places at once, a phenomenon known as bilocation. Many witnesses saw him in separate locations, hundreds of kilometers apart, at the same time, conversing with different people and assisting tormented souls. On top of that, during confession, Pio possessed the mystical power to see hidden sins in the penitent's soul. With just one look, he could recognize what troubled their hearts, helping them find true contrition and forgiveness. On September 23, 1968, Pio passed away at 81. Thousands gathered at his funeral to pay tribute to a man who had dedicated his life to God. Yet, little did they know, this was merely the beginning of a mystery that persists to this day. In 2008, when the tomb of Saint Pio was unsealed, scientists were left speechless. His body remained astonishingly intact. There was no sign of decay, no decomposition. His skin retained its natural hue. His dark hair remained smooth, and even his fingernails were perfectly preserved. How had his body remained untouched by time for 55 years? Science was unable to explain it. The Church proclaimed it a miracle, and those who witnessed it could only tremble at the wonder before them. In 2002, Pope John Paul II canonized him, acknowledging Pio as a powerful testament to God's divine presence. Could this be a sign from the heavens? Or do hidden mysteries still await discovery? Let us continue to explore other incorruptible saints in Catholic history. Following Saint Pio, another miraculous case captured the world's attention. Saint Bernadette, a poor French girl whose visions of the Virgin Mary left an everlasting mark. The incorruptibility of Saint Bernadette remains one of the most extraordinary phenomena in the Catholic Church. Born into a destitute family in Lourdes, France, in 1844, Bernadette was an unassuming girl, known only for her deep faith in the Virgin Mary. However, in 1858, at just 14, her life took a dramatic turn when she experienced Marian apparitions at the Massap Grotto. One day, while collecting firewood, she heard a strange sound and felt a gentle breeze. Moments later, a luminous figure appeared, a woman in white robes holding a rosary, standing barefoot on golden roses. Overcome with emotion, Bernadette knelt and began praying the rosary, only to witness the Virgin Mary praying alongside her. No words were exchanged, yet that moment transformed her life forever. Initially, no one believed her, not her parents, not local authorities. But despite skepticism, Bernadette remained resolute, returning to the grotto as instructed. During the third apparition, the Virgin Mary spoke. "Come back here for 15 days. It was during this period that Bernadette uncovered a sacred spring, which later became a renowned site for miraculous healings. After the apparitions ceased, Bernadette joined the Sisters of Charity, dedicating herself to caring for the sick and poor. Though she suffered from tuberculosis and a painful tumor, her faith remained unwavering. She passed away in 1879 at 35, but her story was far from over. During the canonization process, her body was exhumed 3 times, each time revealing a stunning truth: her remains had not decayed. Even after decades, she appeared untouched by time, resting peacefully as if asleep. Today, her incorrupt body is preserved in a glass case at the St. Gildard Convent in Nevers, an enduring testament to faith and sanctity. Saint Therese of the Child. Jesus is a clear example of love and unwavering faith, surpassing even death. After her death, in 1897, rather than decomposing as usual, her body remained intact, a miraculous event that astonished both the faithful and the curious. The incorrupt body of Saint Therese is not just a mystery, but a tangible sign of her union with God, reminding humanity of the promise of eternal life for those who believe. Known as God's little flower, her humble life and devotion have made her a symbol of infinite love and faith. Thérèse, born Marie-Françoise Thérèse Martin on January 2, 1873 in Alençon, Normandy, came from a devout family. Raised by her parents, Liz and Jay Martin, in an environment full of love, humility, and reverence for God, she felt a strong divine calling from a young age. At the age of 16, she joined the Carmelite order in Lisieux, dedicating her life to God, although not in the traditional mystical sense. Nevertheless, her spiritual journey was rich with simplicity and a deep love for God. For, despite living a life full of challenges, Thérèse did not perform great deeds, but instead did small things with great love for God. She believed that one could approach God through humility and childlike trust, and this sacred path of childhood became her profound spiritual inheritance. The seemingly small actions led her to sainthood. Thérèse had a deep love for the Virgin Mary, especially after being healed from a serious illness at the age of 9 by praying before the statue of Our Lady of Victory. This event deeply strengthened her faith in Mary and became an important moment in her life. After her death, Thérèse continued to work miracles, especially the rain of roses she promised, which has happened numerous times. During World War I, soldiers called upon her, referring to her as Little Flower, and felt her powerful intercession and protection from God. While her body was not entirely incorrupt, Saint Teresa's face and hands remained preserved when her body was exhumed, becoming a living testament to holiness. One of her relics, her left hand, was removed and is now housed in a reliquary at the Church of Lamb in Ronda, Spain. This relic remains a living symbol of her holiness, love, and faith in God and humanity. Likewise, St. John Vianney left an indelible mark with his life of devotion and his miraculous incorrupt body. Born in 1786, he was ordained a priest in 1815 and dedicated the next 40 years of his life to serving the Church. Despite living on bread and potatoes, he spent 18 hours daily in the confessional, guiding penitents back to God. However, his road to sainthood was not without difficulty. The devil continually disturbed him with strange noises at night, shaking his bed, and even once setting his bed on fire. Yet, St. John Vianney remained firm, trusting in God's protection and continuing his mission to save souls. He had a special devotion to Saint Philomena, even building a small chapel in her honor. During one Mass, he went into a trance and was healed through Saint Philomena's intercession. After his death on August 4, 1859, a miraculous event occurred. When his body was exhumed, it was found to be perfectly preserved, showing no signs of decay despite many years passing. Today, his body is preserved in a glass coffin at the Basilica of Ars, where thousands of pilgrims come every year to pray and pay tribute. He was canonized in 1925 and declared the patron saint of priests, an everlasting symbol of dedication and faith. The miraculous incorruptibility of certain saints serves not only as a divine sign, but also as living proof of the holiness of those who devoted their entire existence to God. While Saint John Vianney is revered for his unwavering dedication to the confessional, St. Don Bosco's life stands as a heroic tale of love and hope for the youth, a man who transformed the destinies of thousands of forsaken souls. Born on August 16, 1815, in Castelnuovo d'Asti, Italy, Don Bosco did not come from a privileged background. He was raised in a poor household, enduring years of hardship amid arid fields and endless toil. Yet it was within this difficult environment that his extraordinary spirit was shaped. From a young age, Don Bosco exhibited exceptional intelligence and a compassionate heart. He not only organized games for the village children, but also shared stories of God, planting the seeds of kindness and faith in their souls. However, Don Bosco's journey was never meant to be that of an ordinary priest. His entire life was dedicated to the abandoned and homeless youth, those who had nowhere to turn. When he looked into their eyes, he did not merely see suffering, he saw a yearning for love, education, and the chance to lead a meaningful life. Firmly believing that every child is a precious jewel in God's sight, Don Bosco founded the Salesian Order, a religious community focused on holistic education, one that nurtured both academic knowledge and moral integrity. But Don Bosco's legacy is not only defined by his monumental educational contributions, he was also a man of prophetic visions, dreams that guided his mission. One of his most famous dreams depicted a ship representing the Church, battered by storms yet held steadfast by two pillars, the Eucharist and the Virgin Mary. These dreams were not merely omens, but guiding lights, affirming that faith and perseverance could triumph over any adversity. More than an educator and visionary, Don Bosco was a true father to the youth. He did not rely on punishment or coercion, but instead used love, reason, and faith to guide them. Through this approach, he transformed lost souls, turning society's outcasts into honorable individuals. When Don Bosco passed away in 1888, thousands flocked to Turin to bid farewell to their beloved saint. Yet his miracles did not cease. When his body was later exhumed, all were astounded. It remained astonishingly intact, his face exuding a peaceful serenity as if merely sleeping. To believers, this was a divine sign, an undeniable testament to his sanctity, and to the world he lives on, through the countless schools that bear his name, in the hearts of those he touched, and in every child given the opportunity for a brighter future. Saint Rita of Cassia, famously known as the Saint of the Impossible, is celebrated for her miraculous intercessions and a life filled with immense trials. One of the most remarkable aspects of her legacy is the preservation of her body, which has remained incorrupt for over 500 years, a testament to her holiness and deep union with God. After her passing in 1457, her body was placed in a reliquary, and to the astonishment of all, it never decomposed. Today, Saint Rita's incorrupt body is enshrined in a glass coffin at the Basilica of Cassia, where thousands of pilgrims come to venerate her, offer prayers, and seek miracles. This extraordinary preservation only amplifies the reverence for her unwavering faith and virtuous life. Born in May 1381 in the village of Roccaporina, nestled in the Apennine Mountains of Italy, Saint Rita was raised in a deeply religious home. Her parents, Antonio Mancini and Amata Ferri, were known for their dedication to peace and faith, instilling in her a strong spiritual foundation. However, her life was fraught with challenges. Despite her desire to enter religious life, she was married against her wishes to Paolo Mancini, a man infamous for his violent temper. Her marriage was filled with suffering, yet through patience, love, and unwavering kindness, she gradually transformed her husband's heart. Nevertheless, tragedy struck when he was murdered by a former enemy. Though heartbroken, Saint Rita chose not to harbor resentment, but instead prayed earnestly for the salvation of their children, hoping they would not seek vengeance. Unfortunately, soon after, she was devastated by the loss of both her husband and sons. Rita, not giving up after her losses, wished to join the Augustinian nuns in Cassia to lead a life of prayer and service to God. Initially, she was rejected due to her age and family situation, but with firm faith and devotion, she prayed to her patron saints. Miraculously, Saint John the Baptist, Saint Augustine, and Saint Nicholas of Tolentino appeared and opened the door for her to enter the monastery. Rita was clothed in the habit of the Augustinian order and began her life dedicated to God. At the Cassia Monastery, Rita dedicated her life to prayer, penance, and love for Christ the crucified. During her time there, she endured many spiritual trials, but she also witnessed many miraculous occurrences. One of the most remarkable miracles was the stigmata Rita received on her forehead, a wound representing Jesus' crown of thorns. This wound not only signified deep unity with God, but also emitted a miraculous fragrance resembling roses, a divine sign of holiness. Every morning, the wound mysteriously reopened. Amazing the local people and the faithful, Saint Rita's holiness became widely known, and her prayers resulted in many miracles of healing and conversion of sinners. She passed away in 1457 and was canonized in 1900. Saint Rita is not just an example of patience and kindness, but also a symbol of faith in God and the power of the seemingly impossible. Saint Francis Xavier, one of the greatest missionaries in history, was not only a model of unwavering faith, but also a symbol of the indestructible Eucharist. Born in 1506 at the Xavier Castle in Navarre, Spain, he was the youngest child and began his education at the University of Paris. It was here that he met Ignatius of Loyola and Peter Faber, who greatly impacted his life. At first, Francis was hesitant to accept Ignatius's invitation, but after undergoing spiritual exercises under his guidance, Francis was transformed. With passion and dedication, St. Francis joined the first group of followers of Ignatius, and together they established the Society of Jesus in 1534. He then embarked on his missionary journey to India and Southeast Asia, dedicating his life to preaching the gospel to those who had never heard of Christ. His missionary work spanned India, Sri Lanka, Malaya, and Japan, where he spread the gospel and converted many to the faith. One of the standout moments in his life was the indestructible nature of his Eucharist. St. Francis Xavier passed away on December 3rd, 1552, on the island of Sanxian, China, at the age of 46. After his death, his body was transported to Goa, India, where it was preserved miraculously. His body was placed in a shrine at the Basilica of Bom Jesus in Goa, where his incorrupt body is still displayed to this day. It is said that his body remained uncorrupted even after centuries. In 1554, just 2 years after his death, his body was exhumed and remained intact, serving as proof of his holiness and his closeness to God. Today, St. Francis Xavier's preserved body is a symbol of devotion and holiness, drawing thousands of faithful each year. Because of his immense contribution to evangelization, he was declared the patron saint of missionaries by Pope Pius XI and is among the most revered saints in the world. St. John Neumann is another saint known for his incorrupt Eucharist, a remarkable miracle. After his death in 1860, his body was buried in the Philadelphia Cathedral. In 1927, when authorities exhumed his body, they made an incredible discovery. Despite nearly 70 years having passed, his body remained perfectly intact. This condition was astonishing and regarded as a miraculous sign of deep holiness, confirming God's presence in his life. His body was later safeguarded and exhibited at the Cathedral Basilica of Philadelphia, turning it into a place of pilgrimage for countless devotees. The miraculous preservation of his remains not only underscored his sanctity, but also symbolized the devotion and contributions he made in establishing the Church. St. John Neumann's life left a lasting legacy in Catholic history. Born in 1811 in Prachatica, within the Austro-Hungarian Empire, now the Czech Republic, he initially studied natural sciences, but later felt drawn to missionary service. After completing his theological studies and receiving ordination, he aspired to serve in America. Facing rejection from European dioceses, he courageously left everything behind to embark on a new journey in the United States. Joining the Redemptorist Order in America, St. Neumann dedicated himself entirely to missionary work. He not only founded Catholic schools in his diocese, but also played a crucial role in expanding Catholic education in the U.S. Additionally, he established the Sisters of St. Francis, significantly contributing to the growth of religious life in America. Renowned for his deep piety, St. Newman was also an exceptional administrator within the Diocese of Philadelphia. As bishop from 1852, he supervised the construction of over 80 churches and established numerous charitable institutions. His influence extended far beyond schools and monasteries, shaping the very foundation of Catholic life in America. Despite his small stature, his impact was immense, and his canonization in 1977 solidified his significance in the Church. St. Catherine Labouré passed away in 1876, yet her body remained remarkably preserved for over 50 years. Her story is not only a physical miracle, but also a testament to her deep devotion and extraordinary visions of the Virgin Mary, events that profoundly shaped religious history. Catherine Labouré was born in 1806 in rural France into a humble farming family. From a young age, she experienced a strong spiritual connection, especially with the Virgin Mary. In 1830, after joining the Daughters of Charity, she received a divine vision that later became one of the most recognized miracles in Catholicism. In this vision, the Virgin Mary entrusted her with the mission of spreading the miraculous medal, promising blessings and protection to those who wore it. Soon, miraculous healings, answered prayers, and even the unexplained decline of an epidemic in Paris followed the medal's distribution. Though Catherine experienced divine revelations, she chose a life of humility and service. She worked silently in hospitals, cared for the poor, and never spoke of her role in the miraculous medal's mission. Only after her death was her identity as the chosen messenger revealed. In 1876, she was buried in the Chapel of the Daughters of Charity in Paris. What sets her story apart is that in 1933, her body was exhumed for the canonization process, and it was discovered to be astonishingly intact. While her garments had deteriorated, her body remained uncorrupted, as though she had just passed, a phenomenon that defied scientific explanation. Today, St. Catherine Labourè's incorrupt body is enshrined at the Chapel of Rue du Bac in Paris, attracting pilgrims from all over the world. The miracle of her incorruptibility remains a powerful sign of her holiness and her profound love for the Virgin Mary. It stands as a profound testimony to sacrifice, humility, and faith in God, an inspiration that every believer can reflect upon and follow. The miraculous medal, a divine promise from the Virgin Mary, continues to shape the lives of millions worldwide, offering not only physical miracles, but also deep spiritual healing. Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque, a central figure in the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, left behind more than just a spiritual mission. Her very existence became a sign of incorruptible holiness. Upon her passing in 1690, her body remained miraculously preserved, an undeniable symbol of her sanctity and intimate union with God. Even after centuries, her remains remained free from decay, a rare and extraordinary sign of divine favor. Her life was profoundly shaped by visions of Christ, particularly in 1675, when he revealed his Sacred Heart to her in an overwhelming moment of divine love. His heart, radiating boundless mercy for humanity, became the focal point of her mission, to spread devotion to his Sacred Heart throughout the world. Despite enduring illness and suffering, she remained unwavering in her efforts to spread this devotion. Her visions not only inspired devotion, but also led to miraculous healings, demonstrating the tangible presence of God's grace in her life. Yet, her most remarkable legacy was not only the miracles or divine revelations, but the enduring sign of her incorrupt body, which defied the natural process of decay. Her remains rest at the monastery in Paray-le-Monial, where thousands come to witness the undeniable proof of her sanctity, a woman whose life was entirely dedicated to God and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The incorrupt remains of Saint Clare of Assisi stand as one of the most extraordinary testaments of faith in the Catholic Church. After her death in 1253, she was buried beside Saint Francis, her mentor and spiritual guide for nearly 6 centuries. However, when her body was exhumed on September 23, 1850, it was discovered to be remarkably intact. Following 8 nights of excavation, her body was placed inside a gilded reliquary, with her face and hands preserved under a wax layer to maintain her incorrupt state. This phenomenon was not only a testament to her holiness, but also a sign of her deep connection with God. Born into nobility in Italy around 1193 or 1194, Clare grew up in a privileged household, but was drawn to a life of spiritual devotion. At the age of 18, after being deeply moved by the teachings of Saint Francis of Assisi, she chose to abandon her worldly wealth and dedicate herself entirely to God. Despite opposition from her family, Clare courageously renounced her luxurious lifestyle and embraced the monastic life, receiving her habit at a convent. More than just giving up material wealth, she embodied the ideals of Saint Francis, living in humility, poverty, and devotion to prayer. As a member of the San Damiano monastery, which Saint Francis had revived, Clare led her community with compassion and unwavering faith. One of the most miraculous events in her life occurred when the Saracens attempted to attack Assisi. Her prayers were believed to have miraculously driven them away, ensuring the city's safety. This extraordinary event underscored the power of her deep faith and trust in God. Saint Clare is also credited with writing a rule of life for her community, which was later ratified by the Pope and became the official rule of the Poor Clare Order. Her spiritual legacy has profoundly influenced the Catholic Church, becoming a shining example of faith, self-sacrifice, and love for God. Saint Vincent de Paul, born in 1581 in Gascony, France, is known for his boundless charity and tireless devotion to helping the poor. Raised in a peasant family and growing up in poverty, Vincent's intelligence and eagerness to learn were not hindered. With the support of a benefactor, he was able to pursue his studies and become a priest, completing his theological education and earning his degree in 1610. At the age of 19, St. Vincent's life was filled with adversity. He faced financial struggles when trying to open a private school, but his greatest hardship occurred when, during a journey from Marseille to Naples, he was captured by pirates and sold into slavery in Tunis. After 2 years as a slave, he was freed due to the conversion of his master, a transformative experience that altered his life and calling. In 1612, St. Vincent was assigned to manage the parish of Glit, where he began a long and significant relationship with Cardinal Pierre de Bérulle. His work with the family of the Marquis de Gondi exposed him to the severe inequality between the wealthy and the poor. This realization motivated him to take action, leading him to establish the Vincentian order in 1617, with the goal of helping the poor, particularly those cast aside by society. The Vincentian order rapidly expanded into a large network focused on charity and humanitarian work. St. Vincent earned the title Father of the Poor because of his unrelenting commitment to caring for the impoverished and those in need. To carry on his mission, he established the Daughters of Charity, who followed his example and dedicated themselves to serving the community and providing comfort to the suffering. After St. Vincent passed away in 1660, his body was preserved at the Daughters of Charity's mother house in Paris. However, his heart was preserved separately, and it became a symbol of respect for the Father of the Poor. St. Vincent's heart remains preserved in Paris, where it plays a central role in devotion ceremonies, symbolizing the profound love and admiration his followers have for his work. The veneration of his heart is an integral part of his lasting legacy of charity and tireless service to others. As we conclude this journey through the inspiring and miraculous stories of the saints, we not only witness their holiness and reverence, but also feel the infinite love and unwavering faith they held for God and humanity. Each incorruptible relic, every miracle, and each act of love serves as a precious lesson in humility, dedication, and the power of faith. These stories will forever inspire us to live meaningful lives, full of love and devotion. We send our heartfelt blessings to you, our viewer, that God will always protect and guide you, and that you will find strength in your faith amidst life's challenges. Stay strong on the path of love and faith, just as the saints we have explored together did. If these stories provide encouragement and peace to your soul, please support our YouTube channel. Subscribe and share so we can spread the light of faith and love to more people. Thank you for being with us, and we hope to share more touching and meaningful stories with you in the future. May you always remain in peace and filled with faith